I've been really excited about this one. I've been sort of dropping hints about this episode. It's Krystan Grace Art. Introduce yourself. Tell us about yourself.
Hi, so I've been really excited about this as well. I am a full-time freelance artist who lives in Manchester, UK at the minute. I've been drawing for 4 years now, I think it is. And in that time, my practice has developed into an exploration and study of humans, and that is kind of everything that makes us us. I truly believe that humans are just incredible and that we don't give ourselves enough credit for the amazing things that we can do. I know there's bad stuff that we do as well, not discrediting that, but I like to focus on good things. um, I love looking at like history, religion, beliefs, just the development of humanity and how we got to where we are today, and how we interact with each other and the world around us as well. So I primarily do this through portraits, though I do have a series that I'm working on at the minute called Floss, which explores our connections and dissociation to the natural world, in the modern world, as it were, and that's through the portrayal of like plants and flowers and things like that. I'm really enjoying that series because it's something a bit different. The main thing that people notice about my artwork is that everything is in black and white. There is a specific reason for this. It's not because I don't know how to use color. I get that a lot. It's just like, oh, you just don't know how to use color. You don't know color theory. I do. I've had an obsession with shadows and highlights since middle of university. When I was studying photography, I just developed this insane passion for looking at how shadow and light changes an image. I still don't know why I love them so much, but I just know that I do. So for me, the black and white is a mixture of that and the fact that my work it's fairly photorealistic. So I love the dissociation from reality that black and white gives my work, because in reality there's not much that is black and white. So it's like it's realistic but not in simple terms. But yeah, that's kind of it.
Yeah, I know what you mean. It's because I remember the first time we spoke that you said you sometimes don't like it when people say that your work is photorealistic because it's sort of not what you're going for, and like you said, nothing in life really is so black and white.
Yeah, I mean both metaphorically and physically. Yeah, I mean I don't mind when people say my work's photorealistic because stylistic wise it is, but it isn't a copy of reality. And I think there is a distinction between those two for me. It's not me, apart from if it's commission, it's not me trying to reproduce one of my reference images, the photos that I take. It's me trying to explore and discover something or learn more about a particular topic. Like spirituality, for example. I really want to start a series on the different belief systems in the world and how they affect us as humans. So it's more about that than it is for recreating a photo for me.
There's been a few episodes where I have said to people, I'm going to fangirl a bit. You know how much I love your work because I'm trying not to go on too much, but it is insane. It's absolutely unbelievable. I mean, I text my mum and I was like, "Mum, look at this work," and then she put it into like the family chat on Facebook and was like, "Guys, have you seen this?" And the whole family was like, "What the fuck? Like, how do you do that?" And so just so people that are listening know, the people that are on the podcast, I speak to them beforehand just to get to know them and stuff. And we started talking about my younger sister that does a lot of drawing, and Krystan said, she was like, try and get some of the work and send it over. And I showed my sister your work, and genuinely her response was, oh, that mine's not as good. And so I had to have the conversation. So we spoke, didn't we, about sort of like how people start and progress, and I had to have that conversation with her where I was like, you're comparing two completely different styles of art, and I think
Yeah,
I was able to sort of help her realize that it's sort of like comparing, I don't know, rock music to rap music. It's just two completely different styles of art. But I mean, we were going on. Even now, my mum still comes up to me and goes, "So, has your friend put any more pictures on Instagram or anything to show me?" And I'm like, "Mum, I mean, you have Instagram. You can check out Kristan's work."
tell us to follow me. Drop me a message.
Yeah, I'm like, follow her. But so just to sort of start, what I've usually been doing is closer to the end of an episode, I've been asking people about how they have utilized social media to help with putting their work out. Kristen's smiling because she knows where this is going, I think.
Yeah.
This is another unbelievable thing. Again, fangirl, and but I spoke the other day to somebody on the podcast about how you had used social media, but I didn't give away the full details. I just said, I know somebody who has done really well at using social media. Would you be able to tell us what I'm sort of hinting at?
Yeah. So I'd been on Instagram for a while. I'd say 3 years with my art account. Well, that's not a while, but yeah, you know what I mean. Since I started artwork in my artwork career, most of it I've been on Instagram. And when I first started on that, I was building my page quite quickly. But then obviously, and I'm sure we're all going to shake our heads at this because we were all affected by the Instagram algorithm change. Everything went downhill. I didn't lose followers, but my posts engagement and the analytics of my everything just went down. It all plummeted. And I spent the last 2 years maybe trying to figure it out and I just trying to push my work and get it out there, but it just would not allow me for whatever reason. Followed all of the different steps, did some training in it, but nothing worked. And then we've had the rise of TikTok recently. And I know when it first started, it was very much seen as a kind of, oh, 12-year-olds dancing, which is great, you know. I love seeing people having fun and being happy. I don't get why people get so annoyed at it. It's like they're having fun. Leave them be. Um, but I got on TikTok maybe 6 months ago now, and I have realized the potential that TikTok has, and every single small business that is out there needs to get on TikTok. And that's not a kind of, oh, you should do it. So do it, download it now, get on it. I know that there's a lot of political controversies with TikTok right now, but from a purely business point of view and an engagement point of view and getting your work out there point of view, it's insane for traffic potential. The algorithm is fantastic. It's like for followers, it's chronological, so you see everything, you don't miss anything. It's not based on, oh, these people are big followers, big accounts that you follow, so we're going to bump them up to the top like Instagram does. It's very much kind of this person just posted, here's their post. And then the For You page is very, very tailored to what you want to see. It's very sensitive as well. If you watch, for example, so I don't, people are going to not like me for saying this, but I'm not a massive Harry Potter fan. I'm sorry, guys, I am. Um, there was one video that
Me
piqued my
neither.
interest
So they
about
can
it, and
come
I
at both
watched
of
it.
us
And
for
since
that.
then, like half of my videos have been about Harry Potter on my For You page. I'm just like, it's that sensitive. Like I watched one, it's like, oh, you love Harry Potter, here you go. But so I, yeah, I'm getting off track. Anyway, so beginning of lockdown, I lost, I'd say 90% of my income. And unfortunately, I didn't receive any help from the government or third parties, anything. I just got nothing. But I took out to TikTok for help. And I put a video out there explaining my current situation, where I was at, and the response was phenomenal. I think And well, I mean, it's crazy because it wasn't even, by TikTok standards, it's not even gone viral. It's not a big post, but the effects that that small, and I say that with air quotations, response had was such a big effect on me. It really, really helped me get out of that. And I'm going to be honest here, that financial slump of I've lost everything because of lockdown. People weren't buying artwork because they were looking after their funds more. They were kind of focusing on absolute essentials. I totally get it. I'm not bitter about it at all, apart from the self-employment grant, which I think anybody who's self-employed is bitter about. But sorry, the loan, not the grant, the loan. I was just blown away by people's response, their support, their positivity. There was not one bad word said on that video, and I was expecting people to be like, "Oh, get over it," stop being a martyr and stuff. Not that I was. I was just saying, "Hey guys, do you want to buy some prints? Because it would really help me out right now." It got over, I think, 15,000 shares, and it's now close to 60,000 views. It's had 900 comments, and I generated 40 plus sales from it. And that was within 48 hours, and it's still generating views. I'm still getting new comments today, and this was 4 or 5 months ago now. But yeah, so that's something that I'm now working on, is pushing my TikTok, and I highly recommend everybody else to do the same because it's a great community. Yeah, I'm not really too sure what else to say about that.
Honestly, I was absolutely blown away. And aren't there like, there's 2 videos that you put out that have like accumulated over 100,000 views, isn't there?
Yeah, so the second one was the following day. I made a little graph that had like kind of like a tick sheet, but it was a bit nicer designed than just okay, so when you see people in movies and they're in prison and they cross off the days, that kind of thing. But it was nicer than that. It wasn't carved into the wall.
Grated into your wall or anything like that.
No, no, not this one. And I did a little video. This was after a thank you video that I put out, thanking everybody, because I was like, oh my god, how do I reply to all of this support? And it was 100 sales, and kind of every time someone bought a sale, I would tick something off. And so in the first kind of 12 hours of that video being out there, I made, I think it was 6 sales, and that to me was phenomenal. That was incredible. So I made this graph and I put it up there, and that got 70,000 views, or it's on 70,000 views at the minute, which again, by TikTok standards, is small. So if I can generate 40 plus sales from a small viewing on my video, and videos on the For You page, they average out at getting a couple 100,000 views to a couple million views, some of them. Can you imagine, for a small business, if they got 1 million views on a video, how many sales that would be for them and how much support that would be for growing your own business? It's incredible.
You've definitely convinced me. I am definitely going to be getting onto TikTok. I absolutely will be. It's strange because I don't mean for this to sound rude, but it's like as if you've almost accidentally cracked TikTok in a way.
Yeah.
Like, did you sit and research like how do I make things blow up on TikTok, or did you just kind of just go for it?
So I didn't really do much actual research, as in reading blogs and stuff like that. I didn't, because tried that with Instagram and it didn't work. But what I did do is I found that TikTok's algorithm and the way that it works really resonates with the way that I work. So it was easy to just kind of merge into it. It feels natural and it doesn't feel like work. With that video in particular, I didn't expect anything from it. I was going to delete it the next day because I was embarrassed. I know, I was embarrassed. I was just like, oh, why am I doing this? Why am I putting this out there? And then my phone started blowing up. I was like, what is this? This has never happened before. Yeah, I mean, TikTok's the kind of, to crack TikTok, as you say. I think it's just about making engaging content, things that people want to see. I know that there are some rules that if you can get shares on a video, it's better than likes. For example, likes don't really count for much at all, but shares, the TikTok algorithm will be like, oh, people are sharing this, it must be good content. Let's stick it back up on the For You page and put it on more people's profiles. And I know that if you save it as well, or if you share, because you can share straight to Snapchat or straight to Instagram and stuff like that, or you can save it to your phone if you've got that option on. Comments are really good as well. Half of the comments on that video are kind of coded ways of saying boosting this for the algorithm. Because if you put the word algorithm in, TikTok deletes the comment because it sees it as spam. But so it was just like people putting loads of sparkle emojis, and then they'll just put, oh, I dropped my glitter and stuff. And I was just like, that's really cute. I love that. Like, thank you. I really needed this. Yeah, making engaging content that people want to watch the full video. Using trending sounds is another really good one to do. Taking the main one, the absolute main one that I found, is taking a trend that's going on at the minute and adapting it to your product. So it's something that I need to get back on. I don't know the current trends of today right now. I know that there's one to do with like faking nose jobs and stuff with a filter that comes down. It's, if you know, you know it. Like, or there was a girl who put out a song that was about lockdown and how 2020 has just been, it just needs to end. I think low-key F word 2020 or something, and people were putting up videos describing things that had happened to them during lockdown. So you can take something like that and turn it into a marketing post for your artwork, for example. I don't want to give any secrets away because I do have some posts planned, but yeah, just kind of adapting things to you so that it's like a unique take on the trend, because then people will be like, oh, that's different. I like that. Let's watch it again. Let's go on their website and that kind of thing. So.
It's fantastic the way that the community have responded, and I think it's fair to say as well, it's not even just the creative community, it's literally everybody. There will be people that have responded to those videos. There'll be people that are in school, college, uni, people that are like working as engineers or whatever. Like there are just people from every single walk of life will have responded to that video. It's not even like it's just within one particular community, and it's unbelievable. It's really cool.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, the best part about that is that, yeah, it's reaching a lot of people, but because the For You page is so tailored to each person, if your video gets onto someone's For You page, you know that they are within your target audience. They might not be within your target audience and have the budget for your artwork, for example, but they're definitely going to be interested in your artwork. It takes out so much of the work on my end. I'm not going to lie. I don't need to think about, okay, how do I reach these people? It's just TikTok will do it for me.
So just to sort of talk a little bit about your work, you have worked on some really, really cool projects. And one that really interests me is the Red Bull Canvas Cooler project that you did in 2019. How would you just sort of be able to like run through that a little bit, tell us how you managed to get onto it, that sort of thing?
Yeah, so it actually goes a little way back. I used to work a lot in hospitality when I first moved to Manchester, because it's a great way to get to know people, and the work was there. You know, it was easy to get into that role, and I desperately wanted to be in Manchester. So I was like, right, just get hospitality, make loads of friends, and then figure out your life after that. And one of my old managers got a new job in 2019 as a Red Bull rep. And he messaged me about 6 months before that because he needed someone to do a mural for them in a bar down in Chorlton, I think. And so I did that mural for him, and then about 6 months after that, he messaged me again saying he was in charge of finding, I think it's 8 or 10 artists, I can't quite remember now, for the 2019 Red Bull Canvas Cooler project. And from what I remember, Red Bull hosts this once a year in different cities. It's either once a year or once every 5 years. I genuinely can't remember. The information's out there somewhere. And he messaged me asking if I would like to be one of the artists. And I was like, yeah, absolutely, I'll do this. It was paid, which was great, because a lot of these events, they don't pay their artists, which I think is really bad on their behalf, because it devalues artwork. It's like, this is a job, show the artists some respects. And it was paid well. Half of the other artists who were there are close friends. I knew all of them. So it was just like a day of making artwork surrounded by friends, to be honest. But basically what the Canvas Cooler project is that Red Bull provides coolers. So when you go into a bar and you see like you've got the Red Bull cooler that's full of different kinds of Red Bull, and it's like it's a decent size. It's like a miniature fridge, basically. And there were, for each artist, you were assigned a bar in Manchester. So my one was the Deaf Institute, and you had to work with them on a brief on how to decorate the cooler. So I was kind of given a very open brief on mine. Some people got very closed briefs, which was fine, but I was really happy to be given an open brief, because I love running with it, being given a kind of a very loose brief, somewhere to start off and then just go. And for those of you who don't know, the Deaf Institute in Manchester is like an indie music venue. They're very well known for putting on gigs from independent bands and musicians and stuff. And they've got this gorgeous wallpaper on their staircase as well that they're quite well known for. So what I was just given a kind of, we want something that's going to reflect the Deaf Institute, who we are and our morals and values and stuff. So I work in black and white. This wallpaper was in black and white. I was like, yes, I need to use this. I have to use it somewhere. So on the sides of the canvas, I primed it with acrylic first, because it's metal, and it wasn't going to work unless it had some kind of texture on it. And then I chose, I think it was 6 or 7 of some musicians that they had at the Deaf Institute over the years, and I painted them onto the canvas in kind of a more stylistic approach, just because we had a certain time limit, and I couldn't use charcoals, which is what I usually use with portraits. I was pretty new to acrylics at this point, so I was like, oh, okay, so none of them have any faces, but I think it works, to be honest. So I did them on the sides, and then on the front surrounding where the drinks go, where it lights up, I did the pattern of the wallpaper. And then at the end of the day, all 8 or 10 of the canvases were displayed and open to the public before they get taken off to go to the venues that they're going to be in. So I know that the Deaf Institute is currently in a bit of a
I want to say trouble, but that makes them sound bad. But they're sort of struggling a bit, aren't they, with everything that's happened? But I think there's been a sort of...
Someone's bought them out, haven't they?
I think there's been a great sort of response from the public, because it's a really important
icon of Manchester.
Oh yeah, it really is. So I think a lot of people are sort of trying to keep it going.
Yeah, so when, and we will say when, because we're going to stay positive, when they reopen, my canvas cooler is in their main bar, if anybody wanted to go and see it. I do recommend everybody goes to the Deaf Institute. Let's support them and get them back up and running.
Yeah, like we said, they are massively important for the music scene, and not even just for the music scene, for artists as well. Krystan was able to create this piece for the Deaf Institute, and I love it. It's sick, and you're going to hear that a lot from me when we talk about Krystans. I am going to be like, yeah, it's unreal. It's great. So just talking about the mediums that you use, how did you sort of get into it? Because you say that you've been doing it for, was it 4 years? That's like, for the skill that you're working at. I thought you'd have been like, yeah, I was 3 and I was, just going at it. But when you say like, I've been doing it for 4 years, it's just incredible, like the sort of range you show.
Yeah, so well, thank you for one. I have to say I'm proud of myself, and I know that sounds unmodest, but I am proud of how I've been able to build my practice and my skill. I think a lot of people aren't proud enough of themselves, and I think that's a bit of toxic behavior there. So if you're currently doing something and you're happy with it, be proud of yourself, please. Just as a side note, just be proud. It's important. It's really important. So yeah, so 4 years ago, well, I mean, a little bit before then, I kind of experimented with art as any sort of 15, 16-year-old does. I tried to do GCSE art and then I quit because they told me I was painting wrong, and I was like, that's stupid. Um,
Yeah, that doesn't work.
no, it doesn't. I was just like, well, it works, doesn't it? So yeah, but I'm stubborn. I'm really stubborn. Um, anyway, so I lost art for a while, a good long while. I didn't really do much when I was younger, but I knew that I had an interest in it because my dad was an artist as well, and my mum's very creative too. So lots of artistic people in my family. But I didn't do anything, and I went on to express my creativity through photography, which is what I studied at uni. And then 6 months ish after uni ended, I went through a really bad breakup. And for me, the only thing, I'm sure anybody listening to this who has been through heartbreak knows what it's like to have your mind reeling and it just will not shut up. It just keeps on going and going and going, and you just dig yourself into a hole. And for me, I found that drawing was the only way to calm my mind, to take it off everything else, because I had to focus so much on what I was doing that there wasn't room for anything else. There wasn't any room for overthinking. So for the next year, I would say, I did nothing but draw. I didn't do anything but draw. And I had my first client within 6 months, and then I started taking on commissions from then. And I produced so much artwork that I now look back on, I'm like, you were brave to put that out there. Um,
That's something that we talk about quite a bit on this podcast, is how when you look back at your work, you're kind of like,
yeah.
like, what the hell? No, stop. So I was talking to an illustrator called Sarah Jane Docker
Yeah.
just yesterday, who we recorded an episode with, and we were saying like, it's weird that you look at your work with like almost like a fresh set of eyes, and at first when you're creating it, you're like, oh my god, I am the
This
best.
is amazing.
This is incredible. I am going to be at the top. And then you look back at it like a few months, couple of years later, and you're like, that is the worst thing I have ever produced. Like, why was I proud of that?
I mean, there's still some pieces that I am proud of. It's just very different to what I do now. I would say that my level of detail was still pretty good for a beginner, but again, that was because I was forcing myself to concentrate on it so much. So, because of all of that, I value the meditative and therapeutic qualities of making artwork so much. I think it is so important. And when I say making artwork, I don't just mean drawing. It could be anything that you find creative. Like everything can be art. You know, if you want to be sewing or making clothes or I don't know, making bouquets and stuff like that, all of that's artwork. So when I talk about art, I mean umbrella term, everything creative. Writing books, that's another one. Like writing is so creative. I envy people who write books so much. Yeah, so that's kind of how I got started in drawing and why it progressed pretty quickly. So I just focused on it. I just spent all my time doing it.
Great story. And like you said, there will be people that are able to relate to that, because, a heartbreak is, sadly, it's a common thing. And but being able to turn it into an outlet, and I mean a creative outlet, and you've been able to work on it so well and progress and develop your work, like you said, being able to focus on the detail that you were putting into it because you were forcing yourself to do it, is it's sort of like a yin and yang type of thing. Like you've managed to find like the positive and the negative, and
Yeah.
it's just like it's remarkable. It really is. So with you mentioning university, was it photography you said you studied?
Yeah, yeah, I studied photography. I kind of specialized again in portraiture and fashion photography mostly. Yeah.
Would you say that you prefer like drawing and painting over photography? Like, how do you think it's influenced your work, if it has?
Yeah, it's massively influenced my work. So I don't prefer one over the other. I enjoy them both for different reasons, and I still currently practice both. I am a fine artist slash fashion photographer who has done a few weddings. Not sure I'm going to continue that with the current climate, though, to be honest. Um, there's a lot of stuff happening in the wedding world right now, and I'm just like, I don't want to deal with that. So yeah, I'm starting back in fashion photography tomorrow. Actually, I've got my first shoot in a year. Um, can't wait.
Oh yeah, was it? Sorry, I don't mean to interrupt you, but was that the job that you had the interview for?
Oh no, so that's I also work in a studio as on a freelance basis, just kind of 3 days a week, kind of helping to run the studio. It's in North Manchester. It's a fantastic studio. It's called Editorial Studios. Um, two big studios, change backdrops, help people with their lighting, keep everything up to date and all of that jazz. But yeah, so that's all. Yeah, it's good fun. It's amazing. Honestly, I've never had a job where I'm working for someone else that I've enjoyed so much. It's good. It's really good. But yeah, I've got my first fashion shoot tomorrow because I am starting up another business with one of my friends. So that's really exciting, and there will be more news on that in the coming weeks. So, yeah, I don't enjoy.
Definitely keep us updated with that because it's great
Yeah.
being able to see people, like you said, doing things that they love.
Oh yes, yeah, it should be really good fun. But yeah, I don't ever compare the two, but they have definitely inspired each other. So I would say with my artwork, I do look at a lot of photographers for inspiration. So people like Julia Margaret Cameron and Olivier Varsecki are big influences with their work. I'd say it's a lot to do with the lighting that they use. They're both portrait photographers as well, and more on the kind of fine artsy side. Um, but yeah, that's it's definitely influenced me in that respect. I look at photographers and artists as inspiration for both of them. So
I know I use I'm really interested in like surreal paintings and stuff like that. So I take a lot of inspiration from like absurd pieces of art and the more surreal side that you don't necessarily experience every day.
yeah,
My favorite photographer, and I'm going to absolutely butcher the name, is Alexei Titarenko, who I believe is a Russian photographer that does like long exposure of crowds of people in cities, and they sort of almost blend into this type of like fog. They turn into like this sort of mass, and it's turning like this big group of people into this sort of like single mass that looks like a big fog kind of traveling through the cities. And I've used that on a much smaller scale because where I'm from, there is barely anybody here. Like I can go a day without without bumping into anybody. Never mind trying to like find people to photograph. But I do a lot of like light drawings. Like I was inspired a lot by Picasso when he did them, so I did a lot of that for my A levels. I definitely appreciate that, like how they can kind of like cross over and influence each other, and how you can be inspired from one medium in your other.
I think it's important to draw inspiration from lots of different sources as well. I can't remember the full quote, and yeah, this is a paraphrase, so don't shoot me if it's wrong, please. But I remember there was a quote, something along the lines of, stealing from one is wrong, but stealing from many is art. And it's about finding parts of work that inspire you and taking all of it and juxtaposing it together, sometimes literally through collage, or other times a bit more interpretationally, and taking tiny little elements from people's work that you like. Because at the end of the day, when you're producing artwork, it is unique to you. And that's why it's unique. There was another quote saying, like, nobody can come up with an original idea anymore, which I think is wrong, because I was talking to one of my friends the other day, and he said that the originality comes from the person, the fact that that person made it, and that person has never existed before. So drawing inspiration from lots of different people is really important, because those people inspire you, and therefore those people are a part of you. So they're a part of your personality, of your dreams, your aspirations, the way you see the world, and they're massive influences. So yes, I think it's really important to have other artistic inspirations in life, even if they are from something completely obscure, like, I don't know, you might be inspired by a chef.
You can draw inspiration from absolutely everywhere. I remember when I first started university, our lecturer introduced herself and told us who she was, and she asked us what she thought. She asked us what we thought was the best source of inspiration, and everybody was like sort of shouting out ideas, and she said that she draws her inspiration from listening to strangers. So she was like, I'll go and sit in, say, Victoria train station in Manchester, and she'll sit and listen to the conversations, and then that's how she develops her characters in her novels. And like almost everybody that she's ever put into a novel or a short story has been a sort of reflection of how she's like interacted with somebody that's been passing by, or like lots of lines of.
I love that. That is amazing.
So I thought, I was like, surely the amount of people that go past and all the other background noise, surely you can't hear what people are saying. And she did say, like, look, if you want to try it, go and do it. It's so sort of interesting, like the back end of conversations that you hear from people, and you can like interpret them. And there was one, and I ended up writing a poem about it for one of the assignments. There was a couple were walking, and they walked past, and all I heard from them was the I think it was the young girl said to the boy, "I didn't mean to," and the boy's response was, "But you did." And I was sort of like, oh, I kind of want to know what the rest of that is now. Like, is this some sort of argument, or is there some sort of positive? Like maybe he's accomplished something by complete accident, and he's not giving himself enough credit for it. And she's saying, yeah, but you've done it. So it was such a weird sort of thing when she said at first, like, listen to strangers' conversations. We were all a bit like, what? That's a bit intrusive, isn't it? But it works so well. So there's definitely, and you can take inspiration from absolutely everywhere. And like you say, it gets funneled into your art, and it's what makes your art yours.
Yeah, it really does. I think one of the earliest things that I can remember that inspired me, and it sounds really strange, but I was sat in a cafe and I had a bottle of Coca-Cola, and it was the glass bottles, and I just remember looking at the glass bottle and thinking, that is insane. How did we, what is the story behind this? How did we as humanity evolve to produce this? How did we learn how to do this? Where did it come from? It's the same with things like coffee. You think about coffee, there are so many steps to making a coffee. How? Who thought of that? And that's why I'm just like, humans are amazing. Give yourself more credit. We're phenomenal.
Absolutely. And coffee is a great example. Like when you think about how many steps are involved in it, it's not as simple as just getting a bean, squashing it, and putting what. It's like, and it's because it's such an old. It's not something brand new. We figured this out such a long time ago.
Yeah.
How intricate and like I don't know the word, but like how your brain decides I'm going to explore this. Like it's
Yeah, exactly. It's just like you don't know what the outcome's going to be, but you're going to explore it anyway. And I think that is explanatory as to how human brain works. We are curious beings, and that's amazing. We produce these other worlds around us, and we make our world into what we want it to be. It's like I'm reading a book at the minute called, I always get the name mixed up. It's something along the lines of the psychology of myth, religion, and folklore. So it's either that or the psychology of folklore, religion, and myth, or something. Um, and there is this beautiful chapter talking about the death of gods. So it's all about how gods in history have died because humans have found a scientific explanation for something. So once upon a time, just for example, we believed in a god that was in control of the weather, was in control of the seasons. But then as soon as we learnt how the seasons worked and how the weather works, those gods then effectively died, and they were replaced by new gods who explained other things that that scientific explanation didn't explain. And it's like we need to have answers for things. We have to have a reason behind everything. Otherwise, we can't function as humans. And I think that is beautiful. I love the idea of believing in something because you don't have an answer to it. So you create something from nothing. And that again ties back to artwork, creating something from nothing. It's like creating a whole other world. And I love
that is
that.
actually really quite an interesting take on it. You know, I'd not thought about that. What do you think are some of the hardships of being an artist? What do you think if you could sort of remove something from the world of artistry, what would it be?
Living in the UK, I would say the way that, yes, I'm not going to deny that there are definitely organisations out there who look after artists, who appreciate artists. There are lots of businesses who do, like Red Bull, for example. I would never have thought that they would have appreciated artists because they're one of the big conglomerates, but they do. However, there are still a lot of places that don't deem artwork to be as valuable as it is. I think there was an article released in 2017 that I saw on Facebook recently. Someone was passing it around. They were just like, "Oh, this is what people believe about coronavirus." I was like, "That's from 2017, but okay, it's still relative." And it was a list of essential and non-essential jobs by some newspaper, and number one on the non-essential list was artist. And I was just like, you do realize that an artist designed this for you, because it was an infographic, it wasn't just text. And I was like, okay, right, fair. Yeah, I think that's the only thing that I would change is it excuse me, it is changing. People are growing more appreciative of artwork, and they are seeing it everywhere, and there's more people out there campaigning for the sake of the artist. But there are still a lot of people who will be like, no, but what's your real job? And you just say, art. Like, no, the real one. Wait,
Yeah,
like, what's
where
the
are you
real
between the
one?
hours of 9 a.m. and 5 p.m.? Like,
Making art. Taking photos. And there's nothing wrong with that. I think people should be more open to the idea that that is a real job, and it's a necessity as well, because humans are so creative and expressive. We need to have these things around us. But other than that, I would say that honestly, I wouldn't change much. I love being an artist. I love being full time in it as well. And I think all of the little niggly things that people complain about, yes, they're real complaints, but they're not that big of a deal for me anyway. I'm just like, okay, fine, you think what you want to think, just get on with it.
yeah, I think that's something that's great about the artistic community is everybody is very accepting of other people's hardships. Other people might think is a positive. You know, there might be some people, because I totally agree with you in the fact that then I think there needs to be a lot more appreciation for art,
Yeah,
whereas there might be some people that think that sort of underappreciation drives some people to become artists and to try harder. Maybe
Yeah.
I'm not sure. There might not be anybody like that, but I think as artists, you're sort of able to accept that. And your mentioning of religion and spirituality, you become a lot more accepting of different people, and it sort of strays away from that conservatism of old ideas, and you're able to grow and help others grow as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm a big advocate for people just doing whatever they want to do. So I was raised on the mentality of follow your passions, follow your dreams, doesn't matter what they are. If you're passionate about being a dustbin collector, as long as you're happy, follow it, do it. I just happen to have quite a stubborn dream, so it's a good thing I'm a stubborn person. But it really saddens me when I hear people saying, "Oh, I hate my job." It's like, yeah, I totally 100 million% understand the struggle. Do not get me wrong. I get it. We need to earn money. We need to live in this capitalist society where we're having to pay for everything. You're having to make that money. But there are other ways to do it. I don't think anybody doesn't have the means to start their own business if they want to. The way I see the world is if other people can do it, you can do it too, because you're all just humans at the end of the day. But going back to the appreciation for artwork and valuing of artwork, I'm part of quite a few Facebook groups on Facebook for things like pet portraits and stuff like that. And somebody commented in a pet portrait group recently saying that they their dog, no, their dad's dog had just died and they were wanting a portrait doing of the dog, but that they didn't have any money and that they understand it takes a long time, but that they couldn't pay anyone. And I think you can imagine the response.
Yeah, yeah.
However, however, when I went into the comments, I would say 80% of them were people saying, "Yes, I can do this for you." And then I saw one woman who was in there and she had commented something along the lines of, "This really isn't fair, you're devaluing the work. Um, if you can't afford the, like you say, you value artwork, but you're not willing to pay, this really upsets me. It really gets to me. It makes me feel like what I'm doing isn't good enough." And I was just like, that is really sad. And yes, I feel that pang as well. I feel that pang, but the way, or pain, or yeah, pain, the way that I overcome it, and I said this to her, I replied to a comment, I was just like, I 100% understand where you're coming from. However, it might help you to think about it this way. So you've got an image of your ideal customer in your head, your ideal client, and that person is a person who, at very minimum, values artwork on a monetary value. So sentimental, you can value it sentimentally, but that's not what we're interested to hit because this is business at the end of the day. Someone who values artwork on a monetary value and someone who likes artwork as well. Now, I personally would not be upset if someone who didn't like artwork didn't want to pay for my artwork. So why would I be upset about someone who doesn't value artwork monetarily not wanting to pay for my artwork? They're just not your client. Just leave them be. They're not your, they will never be your client. I'm not saying that person didn't value artwork sentimentally because obviously she does, otherwise she wouldn't be looking for artwork. She just doesn't value it on a money scale. So it upsets me to see other people getting upset by this stuff because I don't think anybody should feel as if what they're doing is worthless because it's not. It's just that people voice their opinions of it being worthless and that makes you feel like it's worthless. So I think it's important to remember that just they're not your client. Just move on.
Yeah, I totally understand what you're saying, and there is a lot of people who, what I find people get annoyed about is people that pretend that they appreciate art, and by that I mean people that will say like, "I think your artwork is really good, but I don't believe in I don't think I should have to pay your prices, or I don't think that your work is worth as much as you're asking for."
Yeah, that gets annoying. I personally haven't had many of those because I tend to just avoid those kind of conversations because red flags, you can tell them from the beginning. um, there's a great book that I'm reading called Art, Money, Success by Maria Brophy. And she talks about this. And she talks about that there are 3 kinds of clients or people who will contact you. I can't remember what she named them, but I know that one of them was just their, I think it was like the ghoster. They would message you inquiring, and then you would reply, and then they would just never reply. The second one is that they're just curious. They're never actually going to buy off you. They just want to know your prices. And then the third one is your ideal client who will reply to you, find out your prices, and then buy. But those people who, I mean, it's none of their business at the end of the day. They don't know why you're charging what you do. They don't know how expensive your materials are, how long something takes you, how many years you've been practicing. To be honest, they do annoy me because it's just like, just keep your mouth shut. You're not adding anything to my day. Just go away. You don't have anything nice to say. Don't say it. If you come to me for a quote and I quote you £400 for a commission, if you can't afford it, just say, I'm really sorry, this is out of my budget. Or just don't reply. That's not great, but it's better than being rude about it.
No, that's a great take on it. So I do tutoring on the side for a few different subjects. I do English media, photography, and Chinese.
Oh, wow.
And I've had people say that my prices are way too expensive. But then I say to them, I'm like, look, I've already offered a payment plan so that if you've not got enough money at the minute, you can pay me when you get paid. The first hour is completely free because I don't agree with just going in and teaching straight away. I spend the first hour like getting to know the client because I teach all ages, so I can have like people older than me, and a lot of it is about getting to know who they are, what type of what their preferred learning style is, and my prices are I think 50% below the actual the national average. So I'm like, I'm the cheapest person around here. Sometimes people say, well, does that not just reflect on your ability? And it's like, no, it really doesn't, because I've got my qualified teacher status. I got a first class degree in English and creative writing with Chinese from university. It's like I know what I'm doing, and there are certain ways that you can go about it. And if you think somebody is too expensive, like you said, just say, sorry, that's out of my range. You wouldn't go into a shop and like pick up a t-shirt that's like, say, 50 quid or whatever, and then go up to the person at the till and go, I can't afford this, but I want it.
Yeah, I know. It's just like,
how are you going to fix my problem?
Yeah. I mean, like most of the people who I deal with, they're really nice about it. They'll kind of say, "Oh, okay, I need to save up for that. Can you contact me in a few months? Or do you have any payment plans open?" And yeah, I do offer payment plans because I know that my prices are, I wouldn't say they're premium for artwork, but they're premium for on the grand scheme of things. So it's like you're buying a piece of artwork. It's going to be like upwards of £200 to £300, and that's kind of the minimum sort of thing. Apart from if they're prints. Prints are a lot cheaper, but that's because they're prints. Yeah.
If you look at your work, you can that is, I would gladly, you sort of, you've got to look at the product and recognize that it's not just a random number. You don't just go, yeah, I'm going to charge this. Like I said about my tutoring, like I charge below the average. I offer a free lesson because I do believe that education is crucial. I'm a teacher, and I absolutely 100% think that everybody should be given the same equal opportunity, which is one of there are teaching standards that you have to meet, and that is one of them. But that's one of them that I went in before I even knew what teaching standards were. And being able to give people as much of an opportunity as possible is crucial. But then you've also got to remind yourself that what you're providing, you're providing something, so it is worth something. And if somebody came and looked at your art, they would think, yeah, this is a good piece of work. I'm willing to pay that price for it. I think it's totally justified.
Yeah, I mean, I do get a lot of people who I love this response. It kind of makes my day, even though the sale doesn't go through, where I'll talk to them, we'll get a quote going for a commission piece, for example, and then they will say to me, look, I'm really sorry. I 100% understand why you're charging that much. I just can't afford it. I'm just like, thank you. That is the perfect response because it shows you appreciate it. It's just not within your budget right now. It's not this angry, entitled, you should lower your prices for me. I'm trying to bargain you down. I hate that. Like I had this was hysterical. This was maybe 2 years ago now. I had someone message me asking for a quote on an A0. So this is big. This is huge. An A0 of 12 people in charcoal. And so I quoted them at the time, it was upwards of £1,000. I quoted them and they responded with, okay, thanks. I have someone who'll do it for 30 quid. I really want to see this artwork.
No.
Oh no, I really want to see what came out. I responded to them. I was just like, no worries. I understand that I might be out of your budget. However, I would recommend, just as on a human to human basis here, that you find a middleman because you really do get what you pay for with artwork. I know he was just trying to bargain. I know it. He did not have someone who could do it for 30 quid. He just wanted me to
That
come
is a
down.
blatant lie. 30 quid. I mean, what was he expecting you to go, oh, right, okay, tell you what, 50 quid.
I'll do it for 40. You know, I'll lose out on like a grand and a half. I'll do it for 40. Bless him. Bless him. But again, these people, they're not your clients and they never will be. So I just laugh about it. I'm just like, yeah, it's fine. You do great, you do you.
I remember I was at an open evening for the school that I did my training in, and this guy turned up, and people were coming to me and asking questions like, how do you mark our children's work? What extracurricular activities do you offer? That sort of thing. And
Yeah.
this man came up to me and he looked at me and went, "You're far too young to be a teacher." And I was just like, I was like, 3 years at university. I'm in the middle of doing my teacher training. So, granted, I am not a fully qualified teacher as of right now, but I've been accepted onto the course, and I'm getting the grade. I'm doing well, and I've not even told you how old I am. Like I'm 23, but I have people say that I look a lot older. You know, I've got this like patchy type beard going on here, and who are you to say that? You don't actually know anything about me. You know, it's
No. And I mean, like, it's not as if you're. Okay, so I'm not a teacher myself. I run workshops, but I'm not like a teacher. However, I would assume that as long as you can answer children's questions about things, then you are old enough to be a teacher. As long as you're not the same age as them, you know.
exactly. You know, I think I said I was like, I mean, I'm here to teach English. I studied English for 3 years at university and got a first class honours.
Yeah, I'm qualified, mate. I'm qualified.
I kind of just wanted to like, I got this like need to just be big headed, and I was like, nah, mate, I know what I'm talking about, but obviously had to stay professional, and I was just like, if that's what you think,
I would have just asked him, how old do you think I am?
oh, I should have.
And if he was like, oh, you're like 28, I would have been like, actually, no, I'm 23.
So I'm even younger than you thought I was. So that should scare you even more.
Yeah. Oh, no.
I think something that people often think about artists is that as creatives, that we are these sorts of lonely people. You know, people have this idea of the tortured artist. Like everybody sits and does not interact with anybody else, which I have it's actually the complete opposite. So how have you found the creative community, like working with other artists, other creatives?
So, since moving to Manchester, I have met some of the best people of my life. Honest to God, I maybe before moving here, I had like one or two friends. Like, not no sob story. I didn't really vibe with anyone. I found people to be not false, because again, I see the good in everyone. I just couldn't connect with people. And I think it was because they didn't understand where I was coming from as an artist, as a creative. But since moving to Manchester, I immediately, as soon as I decided I wanted to do art as a career, I went out there and I found things like there's an event that usually, obviously, lockdown, coronavirus doesn't go on at the minute, that goes on called Overdrawn Art. And I started there and I made really good friends with the two hosts, Dave and Pete. And then I met loads of artists through that and through them. I've done other events like the Canvas Cooler and stuff like that, Art Battle, both in Manchester and Bristol. So I've made all of these connections by reaching out to people and just being like, hey, I'm an artist too. Hi, let's go get a coffee. You know, with adults, that's how you make friends nowadays, is you have to be proactive with it. And to be honest, like, it's the best decision I've ever made. My friends in the art world they are phenomenal. They are so inspiring. What they get up to, the things that they're doing, you just like, the things that they're making. Every time I log on to Instagram, I see something new, I'm like, you are killing it. You are absolutely killing it. But then at the same time, there's the other side of it as well, which is I'm not afraid to message my friends and be like, hey, I'm really struggling. I need to have like a business chat. Can we talk? Because something's not working. Something's not gelling. I'm not getting any, not reviews. I'm not getting any commissions through. I'm not selling any prints. I really need someone to help inspire me to get me back on that road, on that path, and to get the ball rolling again. And they do the same with me. And I think that support it's invaluable. You know, like, you cannot put a value on it, because it's so important to know and to understand that other people are going through the same thing as you. So recently, one of my friends messaged me and we got into a conversation, and honestly, it made my day, because they wound up saying something along the lines of, it's artists like you who inspire me to keep going. And I was just like, you're kidding, right? Because I look at your work for inspiration to keep going for my work. And they were like, no, I look at what you're doing. And I'm like, yeah, she's doing it. I can do it. I'm like, no, I do that with you. It's just like bouncing off this kind of, oh, we're actually both struggling right now, but we're both inspiring each other by making it look as if we're not struggling and keep pushing forward and stuff. So it's really supportive. It's fantastic. I love the art community. I really do.
Yeah, Manchester's such a good place for it as well. I mean, I always waffle on about how there is nothing here in the northeast. When I was in Manchester, I mean, it's just, even the northern quarter, you see all of the graffiti, and it's just so artistic, and because people are allowed to do it, they put so much time and effort into it. I mean, the murals in Northern Quarter, George Floyd at the minute, there was David Bowie.
I think those were both by the same artist, I think. Don't quote me on that, I think. Yeah, he does quite a few of them. I can't remember his name at the minute, but he's got a very distinct style. He also did the Arya Stark one.
Everybody there is just so appreciative
Yeah,
of
yeah.
art, and they recognize it as a fundamental of life. And people are naturally creative, and they respond so incredibly to that. Even
They do. It's really appreciated, I think, and it's not seen as a bad thing to be an artist. It's kind of seen as oh, you're an artist. That's cool. Like, where can I see your stuff? um, yeah, no, I agree with you. I think it's amazing, the community that we have in Manchester, and just Manchester itself. It's very artistically positive. Outside of the Northern Quarter too, just everywhere you go. You go into bars, you go into shops, and they've got murals, they've got artists doing things. I worked on a series of, like, I don't really know what to call them, but they're like little bowls that were decorated with Japanese artwork, or in the style of Japanese artwork, for a bar in close to Deansgate. Like presentation bowls for a cocktail, and that was such a fun project to work on. And it was just like, yes, More bars need this. More bars need like actual artists' work, not just like mass-produced and bought stuff. So
Yeah, I actually had a photo of the mural of George Floyd on my phone, and I've just looked there, and the Instagram of the person that does it, it's AKSE
yeah,
underscore P19, I believe it was. I don't even know where Manchester gets its sort of appreciation of art from. I mean, I would, if somebody asked me where I thought it came from, I would say from the music scene, because the bands that have come out of Manchester are just incredible.
yeah. No, the music scene's fantastic as well. I think anything creative, to be honest, in Manchester is just sort of it is a creative city. I moved here.
Yeah, I mean, I remember when so people that aren't familiar with Manchester, on the lampposts, they are covered in stickers of like people's artwork and stuff, and
They are, yeah, yeah, they
they're
are.
so good. And they've done that forever. And there was they removed a lot of them from one of they started removing them from like a certain area of Manchester, because I think I don't know, I guess they just thought there are too many stickers here, and the uproar about it was incredible. They were like, no, that's literal history. Like, if you think of the weather that those stickers have gone through, and
Especially in Manchester. Oh my god.
especially Manchester.
I woke up this morning, like I'm not kidding. I live on a 17th floor flat. You couldn't see out the windows, it was so foggy. It looked like the world had been deleted. It looked like the world had been deleted. I was just like, has 2020 given up? Is it just gone? Is it just gone?
Is this it until 2021? Is
2020 just said, nope, bye world, deleted. It's back now, so I can see blue skies. But
saw it on your story, and I thought, I was like, that's a bit that that
it's
fog is very
scary.
dense. Like, it's gone.
The first thing I do when I wake up, this is so sad. The first thing I do when I wake up is I stand up and I look out the window at the city centre, and it wasn't there. I was like, I pulled back. I was like, oh, what? Where has it gone? I feel like when that happens, I feel like I'm in an episode of The Twilight Zone where my flat has just been picked up and put into nothingness.
It's sort of as if you were in like a simulation, and whoever's in control has gone, erase.
No,
But not this building. I like this building. This can stay here.
this can stay. This is my little idea of heaven. So.
I just want to sort of talk a little bit more about your artwork in terms of how you've connected with people.
Yeah.
So on your website, you have the studies portion.
Yes. Yeah.
And obviously I recognise David Bowie, his hair that you've drawn there. So I mean,
Yeah.
I'm guessing that you didn't sit with him and draw him. But are there any people there that you have sort of studied in person?
Not in person. So my studies section on my website is more about personal development, things that I do to improve on a particular skill. So like with the hair studies, when I first started out and for kind of the first 2 or 3 years, and still now, I'm sort of recognised for how I draw hair. I love drawing hair because it's just my hairstylist would kill me for saying this, but it has no rules. I love it. Like you can't make a mistake with it. You make a mistake, you just make the hair go the other way. Like it's fluid. It's a solid, but it's fluid. It's great, and it's got loads of texture and lots of shadows and highlights. So, yeah, the hair studies sort of developed from that. They were also a kind of an exploration into identity as well, and whether you can tell someone's identity based off one feature of them. In this case, hair. I've done David Bowie, I've done Audrey Hepburn. I am planning on pursuing that series of portraits a little bit more and expanding that out a bit because people seem to really like them. But yeah, I find it so interesting how you can see personality in the way that people style their hair. Especially in 2020, there's so much going on right now. It's just, yeah. The other studies, the things like the fish that are on there, that was my experiment with oh gosh, what's it called? Pointillism. or stippling, as some people call it. So those ones, they're two fish, a lionfish and a betta fish, that are both drawn 100% with dots, and they took forever, but I love them. Or there's like experimentation with fountain ink as well, fountain pens, the moon, which is one of my best sellers. That was my first drawing with a fountain pen. But yeah, that's what that section's about. It's mostly about my own personal development in styles and techniques and stuff. People, however, I do a lot of commissions. So I work off a lot of people's photographs. I'm currently working on a commission for someone in Australia whose daughter sadly died a few years ago, and he wanted a portrait doing of the family. So he's got a son and another daughter, with their other daughter who passed away as the age that she would be now. So that's a really interesting one to work on, kind of taking features from the mum, the dad, and the brother and her little sister, and developing her photos into how old she would be now and who she would be. And it sounds like a little bit of a brag, but I've been told that when I do commissions, I'm able to capture the personality of the person as well as just the aesthetics of the person. So I really try to connect with whoever I'm drawing, even if they're halfway across the world. So there is that element to it. I do want to kind of start doing more in-person portraits though.
With that particular commission, I know you said that you're going to look at like the features of the parents and the other siblings, but like what kind of, well, you have to get yourself sort of into a different mindset, because it's, I mean, I'm guessing it's a bit different to what you've usually worked from, like.
Yeah, so I do, unfortunately, being an artist does come with a lot of sad commissions. And it's always harder when someone in the portrait has passed away. There was a couple who I did a portrait for recently who unfortunately their daughter was stillborn, and they wanted a portrait drawing with her in it, and that was quite difficult as well. It is a very emotional thing, and I remember when I first started getting them through, there was this beautiful portrait that I worked on. The idea behind it was just stunning. A young girl messaged me saying that her and her friends had collected some money together to get a gift for their friend whose mum had just passed away from cancer. And they had a photo of her, and they wanted her with long hair because all of her hair had fallen out because of the treatment. But in the hair, they wanted lots of lilies and flowers and roses and stuff just intertwined with the hair. And on the petals, they wanted the names of each of her children and her pets. I'm getting goosebumps thinking about it, because I just remember getting that through and thinking, because I lost my dad when I was 15. And I just remember connecting to this so much, and I was just like, oh my God, this girl has she's just got the best friends. I would have adored to receive something like I would have loved it so much. And I couldn't get over just how thoughtful these girls have been for their friend who had lost their mum, and how difficult that must be for her. But getting to work on projects like that is really, really special, to know that you've added something to someone's life in that way, that you've helped them memorialize someone. They are the saddest, but they're my favorite.
No, thanks for sharing. That's, wow. That is, yeah. I don't even really know what to say, because that is.
It still gets me. I'm just like, I can't help but tear up when I think about it, just because of beautiful, beautiful girls.
It's such a beautiful story. That is,
Yeah.
I mean, definitely, like, make sure that you were giving yourself credit, because you're part of that. What they are providing to their friend, or you're able to help reach that goal, which is, it's just amazing. It's really, really great, and you can tell that with your work. Maybe even if you are doing a commission of just like a normal photograph, maybe somebody just says, look, I just like this photograph, and I think if you were able to create a piece of art from it, it would look great. There's so much effort and detail that has gone into that. So you know that then, you know, coming to you, you're going to put an insane amount of effort and detail and time and love, like the more sort of abstract feelings as well into that work, and it's going to be a very genuine piece.
Yeah, I do love working on these more emotional pieces. It's why I keep my commissions open, even though I've got the prints going now. It's because I love humans. I love connecting with them and being honoured by being chosen to produce a piece of artwork for someone that means that much to them. It truly is an honour. And I'm grateful to every single one of my previous and future clients who have trusted me with that, because it is a big trust. Yeah, I really do love it. I don't know what else more to say about it. I love being able to give like that.
It is. It's a strange thing because it leaves you speechless, doesn't it? And it's frustrating
Yeah.
that you can't say like, look, man, you are just this incredible person, but you can't quite get it out. But no, it's. I mean, that's awesome. That is really great. We'll talk a little bit about the chalk and charcoal uh, works that you've done,
Okay.
which actually ties in quite nicely with you saying before about how you've been told that you capture the personality of the person as well. On your website, it's the very bottom one of the girl who she's got like a hand in her hair, and it's as if she's looking at something. Like,
You mean the
is
self-portrait?
that you?
Yeah. I use myself a lot as for reference images, especially over lockdown, because I haven't been able to photograph anyone. It's nothing vain. It's literally just I have a face. Let's use it. Do you mean this one? Yeah, yeah, yeah.
It looks as if you've sort of as if something's happening, but you're just like can't be bothered. Like, but you're sort of still interested in it. That was one that caught my eye at first, and then at the very top.
Profile of a man.
Yes,
Yeah, that's my favorite. I love that one.
the detail and the sort of the muscles on the neck.
Necks are so interesting. I'm really sorry, but a lot of portrait artists don't focus on the neck enough. There's so much detail in your neck, it's insane. Like, and a lot of people just, oh, it's just a stub. It's not a stub, it's full of muscle, full of lots of things, like everything. Yeah, it's great. And the shadows you can get. I don't know what it is about shadows, it's just shadows.
No,
Yeah,
I am on your side for that. I do a lot of black and white photography, so a lot of my work is
shadows.
looking at the shadows and the highlights. I often do like I look for really, really dark shadows and have it contrast with light. I did a photo. I took a photo in Newcastle train station, and the ceiling it's a bit weird. It's sort of solid, but then there's an arch which is mainly solid. Apart from the middle, there's like glass, and it was midday, so the sun was coming through, and I was able to get a shot where the solid part is completely black because of the shadow, um,
Wow,
and the middle is the exact opposite, and it's just all like a sheer white. So being
that's
able
so
to like
beautiful.
I was really proud with it. It turned out really well, and I'm exactly the same as you. Like being able to sort of play with shadow and highlights. I do. I really enjoy it.
I'm not sure what it is. There's just something about it that speaks to me. It's like I'm looking at decorating my flat at the minute because, as I said earlier, I have these horrible magnolia walls right now. Um, and I've been looking at loads of photos of different interior design and decor and stuff. And I'm just like, again, realizing that it's not the color I like, it's the different shades of the color together. So it's the shadows and the highlights. I'm just like, ew, this is annoying. because you can't paint shadows and highlights on a wall like that. You've just got to have nice lighting in the flat, which I luckily do. But yeah, it's just it almost brings another layer and just more depth and a story to the image. It makes it almost
Yeah.
move in a way, and it's like it's alive. Whereas if you have a flat color, and there's nothing wrong with flat colors, okay, I can appreciate artwork in all of its forms, but I'm talking purely from a point of view of my own art practice. I can't do it. I just don't like it, and I don't know what it is. I just don't like it.
Well, I was sort of naive at first. Like when I would try and draw, I would get frustrated, and I was like, "It's not worked the first time." But now, as I've like gotten older, it's like, "Well, duh, of course it hasn't." Like, it never does. It never does work the first time.
I'm gonna stay quiet. I'm gonna stay quiet.
Unless you are Krystan.
Oh God, that makes me sound so immodest. I just.
No, do you know, I was speaking yesterday when I was speaking to Sarah Jane Docker. She was saying, she was like, if you are good at something, tell people.
Yeah, I have the same mentality, especially if you want to make it your career. Because if someone comes up to me and they're like, "Oh, you're an artist. Are you any good?" I'm not going to be like, "I'm okay," because then I'm not going to get the job. If I go, "Yeah, I'm good," it's a fine balance of remaining humble but being confident, I think.
Oh, see, if I was producing the work that you are, I'd be like, am I good?
I am a goddess.
Look at it, and then ask me
Yeah,
again.
I can see all of the flaws in my work. I know there's a lot of room for improvement in my own work, but I'm proud of it.
Which is a skill that it's a great skill to have as an artist, to be able to critique your own work. That only
I
leaves.
feel too many artists are too critical of their own work.
Oh, so yeah, you can be too critical, but to be able to look at work, and especially your own work, and think like, okay, I don't think that has quite worked here.
Mm.
You know, that is a good skill to have, and it's about that sort of balance between being like, oh my god, this is a terrible piece of work, and this is the greatest thing in the history of art. Like, if you can find that balance.
Yeah. So psychology-wise, there's actually something really interesting to do with. Do you know about the imposter syndrome?
I don't think so.
Okay, so imposter syndrome is when you don't feel like you deserve where you are. So, for example, if you are at a red carpet party, um, and you don't feel as if you deserve to be there, even though you're, I don't know, Jennifer Lawrence or something. That's imposter syndrome, and we all suffer from it. We all kind of think, well, no, I don't deserve this. I'm not good enough. I'm not as good as them. Why am I getting this? Uh, I don't deserve it. I'm not that good kind of mentality. But it's actually a curve. And it goes back to what you were saying earlier about when you first start out and you're just like, oh, yes, I'm amazing. All of this is brilliant. And it's a way that our brains have developed to make us try new things and to develop new skills. So when you first start out at something, your brain tells you that it's better than it is so that you gain that confidence to keep on going at it. And then practice makes perfect. So if you have a graph that is confidence by skill, right at the beginning, you have all the confidence and none of the skill. So you're right here. And then it goes down, hits imposter syndrome, and then comes back up and levels out at about halfway. So that you go through that kind of dip. I'm not sure what the purpose of the dip is, but the purpose of feeling really overly confident about your work at the beginning is so that you carry on pursuing it and pushing it so that you can develop the skill and you can learn something new. And I find that so incredible.
That's very true as well, I would say, because
Yeah. It applies to everything that you're learning. Like when kids start learning about maths for the first time, they get overly confident. They're just like, they think they know everything. And then they learn that there's so much more that they don't know. And that's when the imposter syndrome kicks in. And they're just like, no, but that's it. That's the reason for the imposter syndrome. It's because you are at a point where you know that there is more to learn.
so sort of that recognition, that plummet is like recognition.
Yeah. Yeah, it's the okay, I'm good, I know that I'm good, but I'm not good enough because there's still all of this other stuff that I need to learn. But then you keep pushing forward because you're at a point by then where you're just like, no, I can learn it and I will learn it. I will push forward. And that's when it levels back out to kind of halfway. So you're confident, but you're not overly arrogant, shall we call it, and too confident and unmodest, but you have all of the skill that you need. So it's like a nice little wave. Yeah.
So I always have people answer this question, and I don't tell them about it beforehand because I want. Oh, don't worry, it's not a bad question.
Are you an alien?
It's just because I want to get like the sort of initial answer. But if you were to imagine that somebody came up to you and they said, "Look, I want to be an artist. That is the only thing in life for me. Nothing else. That is what I want to do." So you can't tell them, go and try something else. You have got to give them the advice to sort of get started. What would you say to them?
Okay, so you describing me to begin with. I am very much, I will not do anything else but be a creative for my entire life. I cannot physically do anything else. When I say I'm stubborn, that's what I mean. Advice that I give to people who say this is, again, I've already said it in this interview podcasty thing, is if other people can do it, you can do it too, because you're all just humans. Learn your marketing, learn how to get your work out there, learn how to engage with your audience, find your target audience for your work, because there is one. No matter how niche you are, there is a target audience that you can survive off financially, fully and happily and independently. You just need to know how to find them. So go through all of the marketing books, read business books, listen to audiobooks that are on business and marketing and SEO and online stuff. You need to learn the boring stuff. I don't personally find it boring, but a lot of people do. You need to learn that boring stuff because your artwork, while it is an artwork, while it is a creative, expressionist thing that you do, and that is beautiful and that is wonderful, if you want to monetize it, it is no longer that. It's a business, and you need to treat it like a business. You need to treat it like stock. However, definitely kind of keep that passion for it because it's a good balance of passion and business. That's really important. You got to remember you're running a business. You're not just making artwork that sells for a little bit every now and then. If you want to be like a full-time artist. And that's a hard thing to accept. It's a hard thing to understand because at first, if they're anything like me, you put up those walls. You're just like, no, I want to make what I want to make. I don't want to listen to my audience. I don't want to do anything other than what I want to do. But that doesn't sell, unfortunately. And there are kind of little ways that you can, little loopholes, I guess, where you can keep your own style, but do stuff that's going to sell more. So yeah, my advice would be learn about business, treat it like a business, but retain your passion.
That's
for it
absolutely perfect. That is great. So that's basically that's everything I've got to ask. It has been great having you, Krystan Grace Art, on the episode. Like I said, I've been really excited about having you here, not just because I get to sort of pick your brain about how you create the work that you do, but also about how you were able to connect with so many people. So if you would like to tell people where they can get everything that you're doing, that'd be great.
Yeah, absolutely. So all of my social media handles are all the same. Makes it super easy to find me. It's just Krystan Grace Art, all one word, and that's spelled Krystan Grace Art. So that is on my Instagram. That's my name. My TikTok. That's my name. I would really appreciate your help with pushing my TikTok out there because I've neglected it for the past 2 weeks and it's showing. But I'm getting back into it. I've been moving house, so I've been a bit like, social media. My website is also the same. It's just krystanggraceart.co.uk. And on there, you can find my shop, which has links to buy all of my prints if you would like them. They ship out 3 times a month, pre-orders only. So yeah, you can also email me through my website. I've got a mailing list that you can join through that as well. But yeah, that's how you can find me. Just Krystan Grace Art. Even if you Google it, it'll come up.
No, that's great. And like I said, thank you so much for being here. I really, really enjoyed it.
No, it's been a lot of fun. I love talking to other creatives about this kind of stuff. So thank you for having me.